I want to welcome you to this wonderful Founders Day celebration. Encourage you to take part in all the activities. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. We have some artifacts down in the lobby, down the hall. Make sure you look at some of that. It's great. It's wonderful that we have those and that you can see them right out there in the lobby. I think there's going to be some quizzes and questions and prizes maybe, so take part in that. Also, we have BJ's car out back, and I hope you brought your camera today so you can get a picture of his old Cadillac. It's cool looking, isn't it? Dr. Scott is going to be at the D.D. Palmer Memorial, which is right outside here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't we begin before the rain approaches? It's that time. Thanks for being here, everybody. Good morning and welcome to September 17th. My name is Rob Scott. For those of you who I haven't had the opportunity to meet, I'm Vice President for Academic Affairs. On behalf of the President and the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to be here today to have a few comments on a very significant day in our history as a nation and as a profession. You see, September 17th has some consequences and significance for a couple of reasons. The first is, of course, it's the day many years ago that the Constitution of the United States was signed, and today is Constitution Day. And equally as important is on September 17th, 1895, this great profession that we're here studying and looking forward to become and are part of was founded by D.D. Palmer. Absolutely. So we're here to recognize those days, and we're here to recognize and celebrate both these days by laying a wreath on the D.D. Palmer Memorial. So I'm going to ask a representative from the frat to do that for us. And introduce to you straight from Davenport, Iowa, D.D. Palmer.
Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm D.D. Palmer from Port Perry, Ontario, and I've been told that I must speak into this contraption. I've also been told to watch out for a man named Kanye for some reason. I've done a lot of things in my life, as Dr. Scott told you. I am a beekeeper. I even got involved in something called tooth charming. But the real purpose of my life, and the reason why I'm here today in your august company, is because I was the inventor and developer of the science which is known as chiropractic. I'd like to tell you a little bit about that. The year was 1895, 114 years ago. I had a suite of offices on the 4th floor of the Ryan Building on 2nd Avenue in Davenport, Iowa. I was a magnetic healer. I was doing very well for myself. But for the longest time, I had been intrigued by the idea of a unifying philosophy of healing. And that is where Mr. Harvey Lillard comes into the story. I liked Harvey very much. He was the janitor at the Ryan Building. A tall, handsome man of color with a magnificent mustache, very articulate, and I liked him very much. One day between patients, I should also mention that for the past 17 years, Harvey Lillard had been deaf. So deaf that he couldn't hear the racket of a wagon in the street or hear the ticking of a watch. Well, one day, as I said, I heard Harvey speaking out on the landing of the stairs, and since I was between patients, I went out to hear what he was saying. He was talking with another one of the employees from the building, telling a funny story about a traveling salesman and his mule. Well, the story reached its hilarious conclusion, and all of us had a good horse laugh. I had a book in my right hand, and without thinking, I slapped Harvey on the back in jocular fashion, and thought no more about it. A few days later, however, he came into my office and said, "Dr. Palmer?" And I said, "Yes, Harvey, what is it?" He said, "Do you remember the other day when we were out on the stair landing and I was telling the story of the traveling salesman and the mule?" And I said, "Yes, Harvey, I remember that very well. I enjoyed it very much." He said, "Do you remember, after the story was over with, you slapped me on the back?" I said, "Yes. I didn't hurt you, did I?" He said, "No, Dr. Palmer. Ever since that time, I've been able to hear a little bit better." That was probably the final piece of the puzzle that was needed. You see, as Dr. Scott so eloquently put it, I had been fascinated my whole life with healing, with spiritualism, with magnetic healing, on which I had built a very lucrative and comfortable practice. But there had to be something more. And in my researches and in my thought, I had come upon the thought that most everything that goes on in the body is related to the nervous system and the spinal column. In fact, my final conclusion was 95% of the diseases in and of the body are caused by the subluxation of the vertebrae, and the other 5% are caused by difficulties with the other nerves in the body. There was an idea ready to be born, and this innocent slap on the back and Harvey Lillard's comment that it had improved his hearing a bit gave me the final piece of the puzzle. A few days later, I called him into my office, and I said, "Harvey, I think I can do something for you." I had to argue with him. It took me 30 minutes to convince him. Of course, he was deaf. That made it harder. But finally, he agreed to lie face down on a long, low table that I had as part of the furniture in my office. I reached down, examined his back, and found a vertebra that was well out of place. I only had one chance. So I put my hands together, found the spinous process. I had already determined that I was going to use it as the lever to rack the vertebra back into position. I put my hands on Harvey's back, and with one short, sharp, confident thrust, I racked his back into position. He sat up, and a few minutes later, he was able to hear the ticking of my watch. I was and am a healer. I had a specific vision in mind when I decided that I was going to treat Harvey. I wanted to alleviate his deafness. And indeed, that one simple little adjustment set in motion not only the chiropractic profession, but also a new vision for health. You young people these days call that vitalism. And vitalism is a brand new way of looking at keeping healthy and of revitalizing a healthcare system that I know we all agree has reached its limits. So when you attend Lyceum, you're going to hear about that. And you're also going to hear that we are nearing the tipping point in healthcare. And all of that takes place because of two hands on one back 114 years ago. I'm Dee Dee Palmer from Port Perry, Ontario, and I thank you for your time and attention.